now, as I was saying, when things try to enter into your head or into your heart that you know aren't from God, you need to bind those things. You need to cast them out. All right. Don't allow anything to inhabit any more time in your head than is necessary. That is why we talked about creating us a clean heart, renewing us a right spirit, because your heart is going to be. Remember, the heart is that whole thing, not just an organ. It's your seat of emotions. It's all of these things. So you have to check your, my God, you have to check your motivations. You have to check why you react and why you get upset about these things. These things are important because some things you just got to bind. That spirit, uh, uh, that unteachable spirit, that thing that says, I know everything. I've got this thing. My God. That's one of the worst things that you can run against in ministry. Someone that they have all the answers, but they don't even know the questions. My God, I don't know how else to put that. You sit there and you say, but if you stop, first thing I had to do, one of the first things I had to do when somebody said, they had a unique saying, and they would say, you say, well, that's not really me. I don't have that problem. And they used to say, listen, if 4 out of 5 people tell you that you have this problem, then you probably got this problem. Now, I've seen people, nope, you're all wrong. You don't understand something. God says, if you're acting like a horse and three people out of 5 say you're acting like a horse, well, maybe you need to put on a feed bag because you're acting like a horse. Now, that was a nice version. But I want you to understand that these things, unteachable spirit, you need to bind it, cast it out. Fear, bind it, cast it out. See, I could have sat there and, oh my God, I'm going to go under this anesthesia and I'm not going to come out. I bind that thing. Well, the ministry is moving too slow. I'm never going to get it. I bind that thing and cast it out. And I speak abundance. My God, he said, I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. He also said that you have not, eyes have not seen, nor has it entered into the heart of man what I have for you. So what you see, my God, is not, they used to say what you see is what you get. What you see is not what you're going to get. My God, that thing may look like a fact, but I'm telling you, it's just fiction to God. My God, he's sitting there and he's saying there's some things I want you to cast out. I want you to bind. I want you to cast out. I mean, to cast out and loose it. You want to say this thing that's been in me so long, it's got a hold on me. Loose me. I bind you and cast you out. So, and then you need to bind yourself to things of God, to people of God, to the real people of God, not people that are just pretending to be with God. And you'll learn the difference. So one of the things you pray for and ask God, Lord, I ask for discernment. Give me discernment. Show me where to go. I've seen people walk right past a blessing to get to nonsense. So now you'll walk right past.
You don't realize.
You walk right past the storefront to get to, and believe me, I'm not knocking larger churches. Please don't get me wrong. You'll walk right past a storefront and go to, whatever church that is, because I see a whole lot of people, but you haven't really made a godly decision. Okay. You might be binding yourself to people where you're not supposed to be. So your best thing is to pray to God, because he might say, stop there, because this one's going to teach you. I needed all the foundation. We needed all the foundation we got out of the same ministry, and we needed all of that, because I want to tell you something. When times got tough, my God, and there wasn't anybody around, I didn't have the deacon so-and-so praying and so-and-so praying. God allowed us to go through and do the things that we had to do, and never say that it's your fault, God. We know that you're working this thing out. So,
yeah. I mean, and so I think that, as we wind down, just to kind of, I want to bring back to the point So this tonight's was really we're talking about the kingdom concept of binding and loosing, right? And so it's important that we understand. So we were talking about binding, it means forbid, right? And then loose means to permit. So there are, as my husband was talking about, there are things in your life that you need to forbid, right? And then you need to turn around and then say what you will permit concerning that same thing, right? And so sometimes we don't realize it. Sometimes we don't, or we just kind of feel like we don't have control over anything. And so you talked about a thought coming to your head, right? Sometimes a thought will come and you'll be like, oh, wow, you see. And we take it as our thought. Oh, I thought that. Like, wow. And then we start to entertain it. And so you mentioned about not letting it get a second of thought in your mind. It's important. Like, thoughts are going to come, right? But don't let them land. Don't let them land, because then what happens is that once you start to think about it, then that thing becomes planted, and then it begins to produce fruit, right? So then it starts. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he, right? So that thing gets planted. It may enter up here, but it doesn't stay up here, right? It goes down until you start thinking about, oh my goodness. And so what if that happens? And what if this? And what if that, right? So now what you've done is because you didn't forbid it, you didn't reject it, you allowed it to come and stay. And so now what happens from there is that now you allow fear to seep in, you allow doubt to come in, all of that stuff you allow to come in just because you didn't forbid the thing that you had authority to be able to forbid. So you had the authority to be able to reject it. So when it comes, the devil is a lie. No. I'm not accepting that. Because the minute that you let it stay and you start to entertain and start to think about it, that thing will start to try to grab root. And then now you're fearful about it. You're worried about it. So no. I'm not gonna accept that. I forbid that. That will not happen. Instead, what will happen? This is what I will permit. So I'm gonna disallow. You were saying the thoughts that came to you about the surgery. Right. No, I'm going to disallow that. I'm going to forbid that. That is not going to happen because life is my portion, right? So now I lose health. I lose all those things you talked about. The blessings on the people doing the surgery and the blessings on yourself, right? So you have to forbid some things, and then you permit, you allow some things, right? So you have to think in your life, what things are you going to forbid? And what things are you going to allow? Because believe it or not, and you may not even feel like it, but you have the authority to do both, right? So you have to disallow some things and you have to allow some things. It takes us sometimes to get to the end of the rope, right? Or the end of the road before we realize, okay, oh, you know what? I don't have to put up with this. I don't have to deal with this. Yes, Lord. Right. And so, but if we have that approach from the beginning, it comes to us like, nope, that's not what God said. When the thought comes, does it align with what God has said? If it does not align, then you forbid it, you reject it, don't receive it, and then you replace it with what you are going to allow. I'm only going to allow blessing. I'm only going to allow healing. I'm only going to allow good outcomes, right? And everything is going to go perfectly. Right? You have to speak those things, because what happens is that once you come into agreement, let that thought land, you start thinking about it. You start saying things like, oh boy, I hope I make it out. So that you're already now starting to empower the wrong thing.
So now you say, oh God, people always say that the surgeons mess up. Now you framed your day. Whether you want to deal with it or not, you have framed your day. No. God is touching that surgeon. He is touching his hands. Everything shall go smoothly, and I will come out every hand that touched me. Do you understand what the authority you have? This is why we're talking about, and this is the exciting thing, talking about keys to the kingdom. You may think that, I don't have any strength. I don't have all this, but you have more than you think. My God, you've been given authority over the thoughts of your mind, what enters into your heart. And you have authority of the good things in your heart to stay. And the things that may not be so good, you can get them out of there, never to bother you again. Oh God, we're going to go over this again next week. I'm thinking that next week we'll be back in the studio.
Okay. All right. And so, I want to leave you with this, right? So we're talking about this tonight, this concept of binding and loosing. So they are, there are keys of the kingdom that we're given. And so it just made me think about, I remember going into a new position, right? Going in as a director of a new facility, right?
Yeah.
So then I get there and there's a whole thing of keys.
Oh my God.
So there's a whole thing of a whole lot of doors that I have access to.
Come on now.
But I don't know which key goes to what. So now I share that because we have all these keys that God has given us in the kingdom, but we don't know what goes to what. We don't know how to work them. And then what happens is that because we don't know which door it goes to, we can't access the door. When we've been given,
we've been given
the keys, but we can't access it because we don't know what key goes to what. So now what did I have to do? I had to go around with every key to every door to find out, but we don't always do that.
So you had to learn.
I had to learn what the keys were.
And where they fit in.
And
how to use them.
And how to use them.
Jesus.
So that I would get access to what I was given the keys to have access to. Right? So it's important that I use that, but I hope that you look at it from the perspective of your life, right? God has given all of us keys, right? And so we don't know what those keys are. So we allow a whole lot of stuff rather than forbidding it because we don't understand the access that we have. We don't understand that we already have the authority, already have the power to be able to disallow some things. If we have dominion over something, how is it that we allow it to overtake us? If we have dominion, it's because it's the key that we have that we don't know how to operate. And so it's important that we understand that. That's why we're taking the time to learn about this so that we understand. We want to know what every key does.
Right.
So we can open up every single door, because if you have the keys already given you the access, which means that he's not closed the door to you, he's given you the access. And so you just have to be able to take that key and open up that door and go into what he's already given you access to.
Jesus. And I'm sitting here while she's saying that, I'm losing my mind in the spirit. And when I say that, I'm getting caught up because I always wondered why Christ had to go into hell. And what did he do? He went into hell.
He took the keys.
And he took the keys back.
Yes, he did.
Come on, somebody. Get that in your spirit. The keys that we surrendered for the original sin. Christ said, I'm going to get the keys. And when I get these keys, I'm coming back. And here are the keys. I have now given you the keys to this kingdom. My God. Come on, somebody.
So he gave his life to go and get the keys, to give to us, and we're not utilizing the keys.
My God, you started something with that. I said, my God, that's why he went and did what he had to do so that we can do what we have to do. We're going to talk about this next week because it's a broad topic, and there's some things there's a couple of applications that we didn't get to. I thank you all once again for being here this evening.
Yes, and Ms. Ford, we see you. We love you, my dear. Thank you so much for being with us. Had to shout you out. And so we'll be back again next week, stronger and and we'll give you what God gives us. And so we love you so much. Have a